from 5 to 6 for free legal advice, courtesy of Beatrice Kopp. That's what we do between 5 and 6 here on News Radio 570 WQN. Have done that for about 35 years or so. Longest running legal show on the radio is right here. So if you have any legal questions, we free all of our lines up from our normal conversating. And so we free them all up, clear them all up, so that any of you that have any type of legal questions, what our goal is to try to give you some guidance, give you some answers, point you in the right direction. And we don't send you a bill. That's the great thing. We'll try to tell you how to handle a situation or what your options are. And not a single person over all those years has ever received a bill. So when I say it's free legal advice from the firm of Beatrice Kopp, that's exactly what it is. So if you have any legal questions, the time to call is now. Might be estates, maybe you want a trust or a will. It might be evictions if you're a landlord or if you're a tenant. It might be child support or divorce or custody issues. Perhaps it's DUI. Perhaps it's some type of contractual issue you might be having. Anything going on in your world when it comes to the law, anything that you might have a question about or a situation that's going on in your family, pick up the phone and give us a call right now. Between now and 6 o'clock, we'll take on all comers. And here's my phone number. It's with 3 lines open for our legal eagles, 330-729-9977. That's 330-729-9977. What's that number, Ron? Well, I gave it to you twice. Here it is one more time. Any legal questions? 3 lines available for conversating with our attorneys, 330-729-9977. 330-729-9977. On this July 3rd evening. A lot of people traveling for the 4th of July. So if you got a legal question, make sure you pick up the phone, give us a call, and get through on our phone banks, and I'll hook you up with our attorneys tonight. Let's go at 330-729-9977. Let's go to the law firm of Beatrice Kopp and see if Attorney Mark DeVecchio is joining us tonight.
Mark DeVecchio is present and accounted for. Is my mic on?
Mark? Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. I hear you loud and clear. Attorney DeVecchio, at the firm he does mainly, Mark DeVecchio has practiced, all the areas of law, but at the firm he is doing divorce, child support, custody issues. I say this all the time when we're blessed to have Mark on the program, which is frequently. He is the best family law lawyer around. He understands the divorce and child supports and family law better than anyone that I've had the opportunity to interview over all these years. So he's the best at it. And if you got any questions affecting you with pending divorce or child support or something along those lines, give us a call. Mark answer those questions and anything more. Mark, are you an Army of One tonight?
I am an Army of One. I am flying solo, so I'm going to do my best to answer as many questions as possible.
And you know what I call that, Mark?
What do you call it?
A good show.
A
good show is what I call that.
Absolutely.
Because DeVecchio is, I'm telling you, folks, DeVecchio is sharp. You'll get a nice, thorough answer to your questions. So if you have any legal questions, call us right now. 330-729-9977. Hello, caller. Hello. Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a question, and it's sort of like medical malpractice. I don't know if that's Mark's area of expertise, but maybe he could give me some advice.
Absolutely.
I recently had a total shoulder replacement, and when I called to schedule my follow-up appointment, they couldn't find my records. And when they got back on the phone with me, they said, well, the one doctor isn't who did your surgery. We found your records, but a different doctor did your surgery. And I never gave consent for the other doctor to do the surgery, nor did I even meet him prior to the surgery. So I was looking it up, and it said that that you have a right to choose who does your surgery. So I felt like it was a betrayal of trust. I felt like they took away my right to choose who did the surgery.
Did you? Let me ask you a question. Did you ask the doctor that you thought was going to do your surgery why he didn't do it and somebody else? I mean, I asked for a follow-up. Did he get sick that day? Did he have the flu? Does this guy work in his office? I mean, just for some follow-up.
Did you have a doctor that was providing all your pre-op? What did he bring you in, and did he check you, and did he make sure? And then a different doctor stepped in on the date of the surgery. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what happened. The original surgeon had operated on me 3 other times, and I had good results. So naturally, that's who I wanted to do my surgery. So all the pre-op testing and everything like that was with the original surgeon. And I didn't know that he didn't operate until after the surgery. And
Well-
I thought it was a betrayal of trust. I thought it was unethical, and I want to know if it was illegal
Well,
for them to take away my right to choose.
did you have a bad result? Because what they look to, do you have damage? What is your damage? Is it a betrayal? Yeah, probably. I mean, if you thought you were going in with a doctor that you felt familiar with, that had performed 3 prior procedures that you were very happy with, and during all the pre-op stages, he was with you, and then after the surgery, you find out he wasn't the guy in the operating room. Yeah, I could understand how you feel a little bit betrayed. But did you have a bad result? Do you have damages?
All right, what was the outcome? Mark is asking of the procedure. Are you okay?
Well, I've only been 2 weeks out of surgery, and I had my follow-up, my 2-week follow-up, and everything seems to be on course. So I can't prove that,
All right.
it was like a botched surgery or anything
Right, but
like that.
right, but you've had a successful outcome at this point in time. It's safe to
At
say.
this point in time, correct.
Yes, there's a delineation between malpractice and feeling kind of like they misled you. I mean, malpractice is a legal term. It describes when a professional, a healthcare professional like a doctor, nurse, when they fail to provide a standard of care and they cause injury or harm. That's malpractice. It doesn't seem like you're talking about malpractice. It seems like you're talking about a breach of confidence.
Okay.
And
So
I would, yeah, but the bottom line is the hope is that you're fine. You don't have a negative result. You bounce back and everything's wonderful. No harm, no foul. But I would talk to somebody about how could this happen? How could this happen? The guy that I'm most used to that has performed, multiple other surgeries on me was not in the operating room when it was my time.
Perhaps she should ask that to the guy she thought was going to operate on her.
Right.
And say, well, I did all my visits with you. I thought you were doing it, but this other person did it, and find out what he says as to why that is. And because there could be a reason. He could have the flu that day, could have whatever, could have been any number of reasons, but you deserve an explanation. But what Mark is saying is your outcome seems like it's good and you're okay. And
Thank God.
that's not medical malpractice.
Right. Exactly.
okay.
Now listen,
So
lady,
I-
listen to me. If your arm falls off or turns, or you, turns gangrene or something, now you're talking, right, Mark?
Yeah, well, now you have harm. Now you have a negative result, and now where there's smoke, there's fire. You may have something there.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. You know what? People often think, Mark, just a minute before I take my next call, that medical malpractice is an easy thing to bring and you get a settlement for it. And that might have been the case years ago, but it's certainly not the case now.
Well,
Medical malpractice means you've got to have some type of harm from negligence.
not only that, Ron, I mean, a negative result is not necessarily malpractice. You have to show that they deviated from the standard of care. Okay. You don't have to show strictly harm or injury because sometimes medical procedures have negative results. Sometimes you don't get the result you were hoping for, but that doesn't make it malpractice.
Right. We all heal differently.
Correct.
In other words, did this doctor do something that wasn't right?
Did he fall below the standard of care in the industry that you would expect out of his profession?
And as a result of that, you have a major issue.
Exactly.
Then you got a malpractice.
Yes, precisely.
But if he did everything right, and we all heal differently, and we all have different,
and you have a bad result, it's not necessarily malpractice. Correct.
You could still die. Let's put it that way, or have a bad outcome. But it doesn't mean they did anything wrong.
Right. Exactly.
All right, there you have it. I love DeVecchio. He's good at explaining things. You're on the air. Hello there. Wait a minute. You're on. There you go. Why am I having you're hello there. Go ahead.
Hello, Ron.
Yes, sir. Thank you for calling.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. Hey, I've got a property that I'm 50-50 with on a cousin, and I just got an email today that said he added his son and his grandson as joint tenants. Does that change my ownership at all?
Not at all. No, you have a 50% ownership. He is giving joint tenancy on his 50%. I mean, obviously, I'd have to see the instrument that was drafted, but unless you and your family member have some kind of an agreement that restricts their ability to add, ownership, to add unless it's defined, I think that they could add a joint and survivorship saying, if I die, my 50% goes to you. But it doesn't
And that's
affect
all
your
joint tenant
50%.
is a transfer on death type situation.
Yes, yes.
So Mark, just so I get it clearly for the sake of this caller, that guy took his 50% and said, if I die, it goes to his kids or whoever he put on there. And they own my 50%. It doesn't affect that other guy's 50%.
Correct. I don't think there's any, I think they could do that.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I mean, it's usually not a bad idea to do that. Traditionally, would you not say, Mark, most deeds that people have, if you're married and, you die, it usually goes to your wife or vice versa on something like that. Or if you get older and it's just you should redo your deed and make sure your kids are on there to avoid probate.
Well, if you're married, you have to understand that your spouse has a dower interest. So they don't necessarily have to be on the deed. There's a presumption that they have an ownership interest because it may be a marital asset.
But it's always good to be on the deed.
But it's always good to be on the deed. And if you're not married and you're trying to avoid probate, joint and survivorship, or reserving a life estate, those are always smart things to do. In the event of your demise, your beneficiaries have less red tape.
I say it often, and I hope people abide by it. Many do not. As you get older, first of all, you have to think about your end coming at some point. So you better have a will, or you better have a trust, something where it states your wishes if you die. And I would also say, Mark, would you not agree that you should make sure that you do as much as you can to avoid probate? For example, you have beneficiaries on your bank accounts or your checking account or somebody else's name on it, your kid's name on that.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time on the show. The more you could do to avoid probate, to plan, in the event of your demise, that your loved ones and your beneficiaries are already on your bank accounts, on titles to your vehicle, on your mortgage to the house, or on the deed to the house. That helps an easy transfer after you're gone. So you're doing it to benefit the people that you love, that you're leaving your stuff to.
Right. You always want a spillover will for the stuff that is left, or a will to say, I want this to go to this particular person.
If you have somebody's on your deed and it's going to transfer on death, if you have somebody on the bank account that upon your passing, they will assume control of the account. If you have somebody on the title to your vehicles that when you pass, you could bring your a death certificate to the BMV and they will transfer title to the car. You should have a spillover in the event that you missed something.
Right. But just as one side note, it's important. I mean, if you're looking to avoid losing everything because of a nursing home, that's where you need a trust.
I agree.
With the 5-year look back period, so you better get a trust and be healthy for 5 years so that you don't lose all your assets.
That's very sound advice,
estate
Ron.
planning.
Yes, it is.
How about that? It's just like if Mark would pass away, I would not then become the lead singer of the house band, which is really unique.
No, yeah, that's already done. That's a done deal, Ron. You're stepping in, and that's it.
Right.
Except you're going to be like a 70s tribute band at that point in time.
Right. And the crowd size will dwindle in no time.
Well, that's
where did I see?
You'll be singing "Seasons in the Sun" repeatedly.
Absolutely.
Right.
And why wouldn't I do something like that? Followed by the September of My Years.
Right.
But where are you guys performing? I just saw that you're performing somewhere.
We are at the Magic Tree on Saturday night. So please come out and say hello. And you know what? It's funny because we played at Firestone Park in Columbiana County on last Sunday, and somebody
What a
posted-
great setup there, huh? What a
it's
great
my
setup.
favorite show of the year. We've been doing it for over 10 years. It's a Sunday afternoon show, and people actually posted on Facebook that they wanted to come out to see the house band because they've heard the show and they wanted to see the band perform. And it was really cool. It was really neat because people hear the show and they're like, well, let's go hear this band.
News Radio 570.
Wait a minute, just ignore that.
WKBN.
All right, just ignore that. That's my fault. But go see the band, like you say, and hear what they do and what they have to say. So that's a great setting down in Columbiana. Mark.
beautiful.
Just
That park.
I mean,
is
Columbiana has
breathtakingly
done so
beautiful.
much down there. Yeah,
I agree.
it is absolutely outstanding. But you loved it when you were at the Amp, though, didn't you?
Oh my
Or
God,
the
the
Amp.
amphitheater is my favorite venue. It is that gift that we have in Youngstown. That amphitheater is such a wonderful place to see a show. It's like right down the street. You're not driving to Pittsburgh or Cleveland. Parking is easy. There's restaurants. There's bars. That place, they should have shows every weekend and they should be packed because it's a great venue.
Before I take my next call, I'm going to ask you a key question.
Yes.
Of all the songs that the band does that you perform, what is the one you enjoy doing the most, that you personally like the most?
Oh God. That's like saying what child is your favorite. I don't have a favorite. From day to day, it changes.
No. I mean, that's okay. I asked my
depends on the
mother that. What
crowd.
child?
I mean, if they're at like a rowdy crowd and they want dance music, I love playing dance music. If they like listening and they want to hear, old standards, I don't have a favorite. I got to be honest. I don't have a favorite. I love to perform. I love to perform in that band. The musicians in the house band are amazing, and it's a treat. It's a thrill, and it's an honor. So, yeah, they're all great. I love it.
Well, my favorite house band song is "Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes."
That is your favorite song. I heard you humming it the other day.
Of all the house band songs. And incidentally, you said it's like asking a parent, what's your favorite child? I asked my mother once, Mom, who's your favorite child? I have brothers. And she said, not you. I said, well, okay. It's always, can answer that question. It's always the firstborn. They're the ones,
Well,
if you're the firstborn.
I don't know that applies in every case, to be honest with you. So
Mark, you can write it down. It is as solid as the day is long. Absolutely. Firstborn is always the chosen one. It's the firstborn.
Well,
and that kind of stuff.
I'll take your word for it. I don't, you know what?
However,
I have two sons, and I got to tell you, firstborn, secondborn, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't put any kind of a premium on who came first.
But you know what? I think if you're later, beyond the firstborn, they become better parents as you go further down the line. They become older, more experienced, better parents.
Well,
that can be a good thing or a bad thing.
The firstborn always breaks in the parents a little bit for the subsequent children. They're the first ones to come in late or get in trouble or screw something up. And by the time the other kids come along, those parents have seen it already. They've been there, done that, and they're ready for anything the other kids do that's wrong. The first one usually does it first. So that's
how young, how old is your youngest?
19. And my oldest is 22. So, and you know what? They're both really good kids. I got to say, they really don't do anything wrong. Me, on the other hand, I was a firstborn, and I blazed that trail for my younger brother or sister. Let me tell you. I certainly did.
Really? I can hardly wait for the movie. I definitely want to see that, as you blaze that trail.
Right.
The great thing, folks, about DeVecchio is just a damn good lawyer, as I like to say. But also, Mark's been in a house band, or you've been in music all your life.
Right.
And it is really an outstanding band to go see. And if I honestly had to say what my favorite house band song is, I'm going to tell you, Mark, it's Love Train. I think you do the best job on that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate when you come out. We play St. Mary's Festival. You were there last year. I think you got to come out next week.
Yes, I did.
And we'll get you leading the Love Train next week.
No, that's not going to happen. How to clear the crowd out. I just like to be, as far back and just taking it all in, DeVecchio, taking it all in. But it sounds like the OJs. I mean, that's a part of it. You want to sound. I always thought that we have such great talent in our community, and I count you as one of those. You know, when you
Thank
take a look at Easy Street Productions and some of the stuff they put on at Christmas
Oh,
time and the
Maureen
spectacular
Collins and
shows.
Todd Hancock
oh,
are awesome. They're wonderful. And what they do for this community and what they do for the children, the little rascals that they have. And both my boys were involved in that. My nephews, RDNA, they did the plays with Maureen when they were younger. It's a rite of passage, and they really do a good job for this community. They really, truly do. So I don't know that they get enough credit, but I'm throwing some credit out to them right now because they do a great job.
Yeah, I mean, and we've had a lot of great bands just over the years, and I'm sure that you've probably known more of them. The sad part about it is that a lot of bars got away from having bands, so that heyday, if you will, Mark, seemed to vanish to a large extent.
Well, I think back in your day, if I remember correctly, I heard stories that the bars were running bands like 4 or 5 nights a week. There was always a place to
Yes.
go. It's really different now. You're lucky
Yeah,
to have a
it's
band
kinda
on a Saturday, or a Friday, rarely, but one day a week you could hear live music. But it's worth it. Go out and hear a band.
Absolutely. And hear a good one, because listen, there are some that are just god awful, but there are many that are really good. But there's some that are god awful. Really, I mean,
They're
I gotta
all
be
trying
fair,
their best. We're all trying our best.
Well, no, you guys are really good, and but there are some that I think, oh, for the love of God, can they turn it down a little bit? But that's me anyway. All right, we'll come back, Mark, with segment number 2. It's always good to have you with us, Attorney Mark DeVecchio. You know that.
Thanks, Ron. It's great to be
He
here.
is, in my opinion, one of the best. You got a legal question? Make sure you pick up the phone. Give us a call. I'll hook you up with Attorney DeVecchio right after our headlines at 5:30 on News Radio 570 WKBN. Here's my phone number. Legal questions for Attorney DeVecchio. 330-729-9977, 330-729-9977. I give that number out. The time to call us now. I have 3 lines in Youngstown open. You'll get in rotation right after my headlines at 5:30. All right, so if you got a comment for Attorney DeVecchio as far as a legal question, anything going on in your world, free legal advice is a phone call away. Pick it up. Call us now, 330-729-9977.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, is back in Vegas.
T-Mobile Arena.
September 19th and 20th, streaming live only on Hulu. 15 artists, 2 nights, 1 stage. Get tickets
WQEN. All right, Mark, let's go back to our phone lines. All
Okay.
right. I also, let's see, want to go here. You're on the air with Attorney DeVecchio. Hello.
Hello there, attorney. I have a question. With the new legislation, kind of giving some of the criminals a clear path to getting their license now. I'm in the position where I never had my license revoked. I have a perfect driving record in Ohio. But when I didn't have a car, I let my license lapse for over 6 months. And now I have to take the test back over and everything after you go past 6 months. And I'm wondering now with the legislation allowing the criminals to have a clear path, they kind of forgot about people in my situation. Is there anything that could be done about that?
Well, let me ask you a question before the attorney answers. You let it lapse 6 months. Why didn't you renew it?
No. Ultimately, it's my fault. But I'd like to, now that they're allowing the criminals to do it. I mean,
I don't know
maybe that's a provision that could be added on. I did call the local congressman, and they're looking into it. But I figured I'd call the show too to see if it makes sense.
Well, what are they doing with the criminals that you're saying?
Well, all right. I think I know. I vaguely know a little bit. I think you're talking about House Bill 29. It eliminates driver's license suspensions for certain offenses, including unpaid court fines and fees, certain drug-related offenses where vehicles were not involved. It means vehicles that are individuals that had previously had their license suspended for these reasons may be eligible for reinstatement. Okay.
Correct.
And yeah. I think it's a long time coming, but I think it was all this administrative red tape. Like if you get your license suspended in court, you have to get a bond. You have to pay a reinstatement fee. If you didn't have a license, you have to pay a reinstatement fee. Then upon conviction, it gets suspended again. It was crazy what you had to do to get your license back. So I think that it's a good thing because we want people that are driving on the roads in Ohio to have a license. Now,
absolutely.
All right, but if you haven't been convicted and you don't fall within the class that is addressed in House Bill 29, you don't have any restrictions on you. I mean, if you let your license lapse, it's on you. So you did that yourself, and I understand it, but I don't know how they could make it any easier if you let your license lapse and there's no restrictions on it.
But why someone who broke the law? Why are they letting they don't have to pay their fees? They get those waived, but someone who just let it last 6 months now has to retest and pay all the fees all over.
Well,
it just doesn't seem.
I mean, my personal opinion is they thought that those fees. I don't want to say they were unconstitutional, but maybe those fees were unwarranted. And because understand, if you're convicted, you're going to pay a fine, you're going to pay court costs, you're going to pay an attorney, all those things happen. So it's not like you get off scot-free. You are punished, but they want to make it easier for you to maintain your license. Now, if you already have a license, you have an obligation to maintain your license in good standing. So, and if you neglect to do that, well, that's on you. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to call it irresponsible, but I mean, you need to maintain your license. You need to maintain your insurance.
I just think it's more irresponsible to break the law.
Okay, well,
something lapse.
I mean, it is what it is. It's their rules. You didn't do it for 6 months. Now go take the driving test and get it back. What's the big deal?
I guess that after 6 months and 1 day, you forgot everything you ever did when you're driving. Your perfect record means nothing, I guess.
Right. Well, you got to take the test. That's the rules. Okay. You screwed up. I appreciate it. You're on the air.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
I got a question. Are you familiar with clawback?
Pardon?
Are you familiar with the clawback law?
In which sense?
Well, I was involved in a investment, and of course, good faith on my part, turned out to be a scam, and now they're doing what they call clawback to take the money back off of me. How ironclad is that clawback? Is that something you can't beat? You just pay them back, or how's it go?
Well, give us some more vaguely details. You were involved in an investment, like involving
myself and probably both few states. This happened out in Akron. We all put our money in. We were all receiving every 40 days. We were receiving a certain amount of money in interest, and he was building a Ponzi scheme using people to pay other people. And now the receiver wants. The receiver. Worst damn part about this is I tried to pay back the receiver the amount over what I invested or what I would profited, and they wouldn't take it back, because whatever reason they're trying to make money. So the clawback is the money that was over and above what I received back from the money I put in.
All right. So
now I'm willing to fight them because you know what? I tried to pay them back and they wouldn't take it.
So you're saying, just so I understand it, so you're saying, let's just say you invested $5,000, and you ended up getting $7,000 back, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
And
you got your
somebody in the pyramid was out that $2,000. So I mean, it sounds like an unjust enrichment situation where you were unjustly enriched by an illegal scheme that created victims elsewhere. So you have money that belongs to other people that were victimized by this person. They're trying to make everyone whole, whereby you have the money you originally invested. You're not damaged, but any money that you were unjustly enriched through this criminal activity should go to the people that were damaged. So yeah, I kind of get it. It's like naturally you received two grand. You made an investment. The investment turned out to be illegal. People suffered. I don't know if they're prosecuting the person that put the scheme together, but now they're just trying to make all the victims whole. So my personal opinion is if I have something that I'm really not entitled to, and it really lawfully belongs to someone else that was ripped off, I mean, I'm just pragmatic that way. I would give it back. You hate to give money back.
I tried to. The receiver wouldn't take it back.
All right, but so now they're saying you have to give it back, and now you want to fight.
I said I decided I was not going to hire an attorney. I'm just going to go straight to the receiver. Give them the profit. It ended up being I put in $60,000. I got $75,000 back. I'm willing to give them the $15,000. They said no, hire an attorney.
Right. Who's the receiver when you say who were you when you wanted to give the $15,000 back to who? The
receiver is the one handling the I guess you'd call it bankruptcy, scam, whatever the deal is.
And they wouldn't take it. What did they tell you? Keep it?
No, they said hire an attorney, which I don't.
No. They said hire an attorney. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't hire attorneys. What I do is, okay, there's a clawback law, clawback rule. I owe the 15. Here's your damn 15. I was involved in a good faith investment on my part, but you know what? It didn't work out that way. Okay, here's your 15. They said no, hire an attorney.
Why don't that makes no sense to me?
Ron. I agree, Ron. I don't know why they would say we're not going to.
Hold on, I can help you with this. Look up there's an Akron attorney. He's a receiver, and he was having sex with a judge out there.
All right.
And that's the attorney, and that's the judge, and that's the case. Now, since they've taken it off of him, and they haven't sent me the new receiver, so I could call that character. But half the time I'm like, okay, I want to give it back, and now I'm ready to fight him because you know what? I wanted to give it back.
But wait for them to contact you to insist that you give it back.
Yeah,
they want me to get an attorney.
I don't think.
I don't know about the new people, but the old people.
Yeah, well, what attorney for what, Mark?
I don't know why an attorney would be necessary because it's not like they're depriving you of your legal rights. It's not like there's any risk of incarceration.
Okay, yeah, there is a part I'm leaving out. They're stating that the entire $60,000, because it went through a certain person. It was a group of us. We sent it to the group, and then the group, whatever you call it, manager sent the money off. So they're acting like they never got the 60. Then they act like I never got the 60,000. So not only are they after me for 75,000, then they want to hit me for $25,000 per whatever the hell you call it, per charge or whatever. The same thing they're charging the guy who ran the Ponzi scheme. They're slapping all those on, they got 3 charges or something like that on me. It's not charges. I don't know what your terminology is, but
Right. But hey, Mark, wouldn't you say, just based on what you're hearing for this caller, and I'm going to ask you, Mark, this guy should get an attorney based on what I'm hearing. Would you agree?
I don't know that we're getting all the information, Ron. There's something that I can't wrap my head around based upon the way he's explaining the situation. I don't know that anybody could say, I'm not going to deal with you unless you have an attorney, because obviously it's always better to have an attorney, but there's nothing obligating you. If you feel you were unjustly enriched and you're willing to give the money back, it would seem like attorneys would just gum up the situation a little bit. However, if they're saying they never got your $60,000 originally and they want that to be paid back, I mean, how about if you give the office a call next week, give me the numbers of the players involved, any documentation you have, let me take a look at it, and let me see what I could decipher out of it.
All right, that's fair enough.
Okay.
Yep. Well, I've never made it. This is my first phone call ever.
That's okay.
Who do I call?
Call the firm of Beatrice and Kopp, 330-746-8484.
8484.
And you could ask for me, Mark DeVecchio.
Okay. We'll do it next week, right?
Yes, because I think there's more information that I need. So, and I don't want to, take up any more time. So call me and we'll figure out what's going on.
Yeah, he's got a serious problem there, Mark.
So, something's sketchy. Something is sketchy in that scenario that just doesn't seem to add up.
Yeah, he's got a serious problem. That whole clawback thing. Do you remember them bell-bottom jeans I lent you 14 years ago and you never gave them back to me?
I'm hanging on to them because I hope they come back in style. Those are my favorite jeans of all time. I loved bell-bottom jeans.
I'm invoking the clawback rule. I want my jeans back.
Me and Eric Clapton have bell-bottom blues. That's all I can tell you.
Forever in blue jeans. That's me. Okay.
That's right.
Anytime I can use a song thing with you, DeVecchio, I'm going right for it.
Remember back in the day when you wore those bell bottoms and you would run and your legs would make those swooshing sounds and it felt like you were running so fast because those jeans were just swooshing at your ankles, baby.
And boy, did they look stupid back in the day.
No, they looked awesome. Come on.
No, they do not. Like when you'd see that Lainey Wilson wearing them in the country scene, and it would be like, oh, for the love of God, I thought those things disappeared.
No, you know what I hated, though? Bell-bottom jeans and a bicycle. Those did not go well together because you inevitably got the bottom of those jeans stuck in the chain. You'd end up falling. You have to cut the jeans because you couldn't get them out of your bike chain.
Skinny jeans are the worst. They are absolutely the worst.
All you 70s people out there, tell me about your bell-bottom jeans stories.
With Attorney DeVecchio, you're on the air. Hello there.
Hello?
Yes.
Question for you about an irrevocable trust. So my parents have one. They're both 88. And years ago when it was set up, I could have sworn that we only put their accounts in the trust, not their home. I recently looked at this at the Columbiana County recorder, and it's got the trust name at the top of the documentation. When they get their tax bill in the mail, it comes with the wording of their names and me as the executor. The bill comes to the trust. Does that mean for sure that the house is indeed in that trust?
It sounds like it is, but I'd have to see the trust documents because there would be some kind of an asset list indicating what assets make up the trust.
Yeah, because I dug through that and I can't find anything like that. And that's what makes me puzzled because everything points to that, but I want to get verification.
Although, caller, I got to tell you, it makes sense that if your parents are 88 and their property is in a trust, it's probably not a bad thing.
Right. Yeah, I just want to make sure it is. That's the whole thing.
I got you.
I thought it wasn't, but because if it isn't, then from the research I did said that a transfer on death is a good option rather than start the 5-year look back all over again.
Yes, but I mean, understand this: if your parents require nursing home care, whether it's a transfer on death or not, they're still going to go after their asset because it's not transferred yet. Your parents still have an ownership interest. It's still an asset
Right.
worth money, and they're going to try to attach it. So, but I would talk to your parents and ask if they have the trust documents and read through them. And if you need somebody to read through them with you, I mean, call a lawyer. It really shouldn't be a difficult endeavor to go through a trust and read the documents and see what assets make up.
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah,
is he concerned at what? Why would you have a trust mark if you didn't put your property, your real estate
Exactly.
in
That's
it?
why I said it sounds like it wouldn't be a bad thing. It's a good thing if they're 88 and their house is in a
Right.
trust. That it's protected for their beneficiaries.
Irrevocable trust.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So is it an irrevocable trust, caller?
Yes, it is.
All right. So you better hope their property's in it, because then you clean the 5-year look back period, because they probably
Exactly.
got it a while back.
Exactly.
Right.
Do you have a copy of the
Okay.
trust? They should have it.
I do, and I haven't had a chance to completely dig through it, but at my first run through, I couldn't find that list that you're referring to, but it's got to be in there somewhere, huh?
We'll read
Yes.
it page by page.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right. That's an
Very
excellent.
good. Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. You're on the air with Attorney DeVecchio. This is the Legal Show, 550. Hello.
Hi. I have a call. I have a question with regard to warranty information. I'm calling on behalf of my daughter. She bought a Buick Enclave back in 2022. And in addition to the warranty, she bought an extended warranty on the car. And about 7 weeks ago, she was driving to work or wherever, and the dash lights went out. Everything went out. And as a result, of course, she can't drive the car. The place where she bought the car had closed, the dealership. So it was sold to another entity. So she had to go to a different General Motors dealer to try to get the warranty taken care of or get the car fixed. And of course, she's been having trouble with them. At least they agreed to try to fix the car for her. But anyway, they told her they couldn't find the part. And this has been going on now for almost 2 months. And she did buy an extended warranty. The car only has 18,000 miles on it. She has been talking to General Motors. She finally started calling General Motors. But General Motors and the dealership are not communicating. They say that they are, but she's been keeping track of every time that she's been calling them. And apparently she's not getting anywhere. And they told her that she could apply, if she went for a rental car, she could apply for a reimbursement. Of course, there was no guarantee that she would do that. Her problem is she's still making payments on this car, can't drive it, and she can't afford to pay for a rental car. And in fact, she's driving my husband is deceased, and she's just driving his car right now.
Is there insurance on that car?
Yes.
Okay,
Did you
just
buy?
making sure.
Was it a new car?
She bought it new in 2022. And once again, it's only got 18,000 miles on it. She has all the records on it. She took care of it. First, they told her they didn't know what was wrong with it. Then they said it was an instrument cluster. Then they said they couldn't get the part. And she actually went online last week and found the part.
How long has
and
she been
called
having
General Motors and
How
said,
long
"If
has she
you
been having
can't-"
car problems?
It started about 8 weeks ago.
Okay.
And she's been looking at lemon laws and the buyback, and I told her to call your office.
What model is it?
It's a 2022 Buick Enclave.
Okay, and what's wrong with it?
The instrument cluster is out. It doesn't
All
work.
right.
There's no light on the dash.
And this is important, Mark, because it'd be 3-year, 36,000 mile bumper to bumper coverage. How
Well,
many miles are on the car?
That goes with the
18.
warranty. But I mean, my understanding of the lemon law is it has to be within the first year of purchase, and there are mileage restrictions. I think for the lemon law to apply, it has to be 18,000 miles. So, don't
right.
don't hold me to it. I think it's 1 year, 18,000 miles, and I think you have to have the car in disrepair for like at least 30 days for the lemon law to start kicking in.
Well,
Now-
she's beyond that. Though.
Yes, yes.
She's-
So I don't
she's
know that the
checked
lemon law is going to
in
help you.
Pennsylvania, and apparently,
But no,
and
no, hang on,
Montgomery
hang on one second.
State.
Hang on. Wouldn't her best options be? I'm just asking the attorney on your behalf, and I would ask you, this caller, wouldn't she be still covered under the manufacturer's warranty, 3 years, 36,000 miles?
Absolutely. I would say
All right.
she would. And she bought an express warranty. So whoever wrote the warranty would also be liable to fix the vehicle. So,
And what happens when she goes to the dealership?
well, she said the
She
dealership
gets,
is closed.
they tell her they can't get cars. Then she calls General Motors. She's got all her records. Neither the dealer nor General Motors are talking together.
Okay, can I ask you
And-
another question? And I'm being serious with you. Why don't you go to another GM dealership?
Well, that's a question for her. She had trouble getting this one because the original dealership went with another manufacturer or another car distributor.
Could
so
I
it's
tell
no
you?
longer General Motors, the original one that she dealt with. And she has, like I said, she's got her records. She's got everything, including every time she's talked to General Motors.
Okay, I get
General
all that. I
Motors-
just got to move it along. Mark, the warranty for the car is through General Motors, not through the dealership. It doesn't matter what
Correct.
dealership she goes to.
Correct. Yes. No, well, and you know, my recommendation would be to contact a lawyer, and instead of your daughter trying to make the phone calls, get a lawyer to send a letter to the appropriate party
Oh.
indicating that, you know, I'm on the case. My investigation reveals that this was a newly purchased. This car was purchased brand new. It's under 20,000 miles. The
36,000.
well, for the lemon law provision, I just said that, but yeah, it would still be covered under your manufacturer's warranty. But you're not cooperating. I would request that you communicate through my office and cooperate, or we are going to exercise our legal rights and file a lawsuit. And I bet that you'll get a better response than your daughter's getting right now.
But with that in mind, I'm going to ask you again. Why doesn't she go to a different Chevy dealership or
General
Buick
Motors.
dealership
Yeah.
and General Motors dealership and go to another service department that'll communicate with her and get away
Well,
from the one she's going to?
Well, that's a good question, and I'll mention that to her. But I think that she's done just about everything that she thought she could do.
No, well, she hadn't done that. I mean, if you're getting crapped on at one dealer, you go to a different one. It's covered under the General Motors. Go to another one and ask them.
She said it was very difficult to get a dealer over there in Pennsylvania. There's no General Motors dealers in that particular area, with the exception of this one that agreed to take the car,
Well, then,
and they're just sitting there.
well, it seems to me she's got to get to another dealer, and that's right, Mark.
Get to another dealer, or have a lawyer write a letter and let them know that she's represented by counsel, and it appears that there's an impropriety, that she should be getting treated better, that the car is clearly covered both under the bumper to bumper and an express warranty, and that if there's any more delays, she's going to exercise her legal rights. And I bet you get more of a response.
And keep in mind, Mark, the clock is ticking.
Clock
They
is
want to run the
definitely-
clock out
Time is
on
of
the
the
3
essence.
years.
Time is
Yeah.
of the essence. Do it now. Call a lawyer in the next week or two.
Because they're going to say, well, it's beyond the 3-year period if they stall long enough.
And yeah, they're kicking the can down the road. Clearly, that's what they're trying to
I
do.
bet you that cluster is thousands of dollars.
Sure, absolutely.
They did look up the prices, and they're not sure that that's exactly what it is. That's what they're talking about, and once again they say that they can't find the part, and she actually found it online. Anyway, the other thing was the buyback. They do have something with a buyback with General Motors. And do you people handle that at your office? I would assume that you probably do.
Absolutely. We will have
Issues
somebody
like
take a
this.
look at it and send a letter for you, and make sure that we follow up and make sure we make you whole again, or your daughter.
All right. Call Attorney DeVecchio, okay?
Okay. I've got it. Thank you very much. I listen to your program every week.
Thank
All
you,
right,
ma'am.
thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
All right. Thank you, Attorney Mark DeVecchio. You have a wonderful 4th of July, and
You
thanks
too,
for being
Ron.
with us here
Absolutely.
on July 3rd. We appreciate it immensely, as always. Attorney Mark DeVecchio from the law firm of Beatrice Kopp. The Legal Show brought to you by Beatrice Kopp on News Radio 570 WKBN. Stay tuned after the news break. We come back and get back to conversating on today's issues.
Program will be recorded.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But